Toyota's brought the new Land Cruiser to this part of the world, and we've got the right one. This is the first edition. But the question is, does it live up to the legend? Well, we're going to find out. Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Makse, racer, lover of driving fast, fun things. And on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, the Land Cruiser is an interesting thing. It's a net new addition to Toyota's lineup in this part of the world. In other parts of the world, it's legendary, as they say. And this Land Cruiser has loads of new tech, loads of new features. And before we get into what it's like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. Mechanically, there's still a lot of that legendary Land Cruiser goodness going on here. Like any good Land Cruiser, it uses body-on-frame construction, and in fact, it's the same platform as the Tundra, Sequoia, and Tacoma. Under the hood is a 2.4-liter four-cylinder with a turbo plus an electric motor, making this a hybrid. Toyota calls this the iForce Max. In total, it makes 326 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 465 pounds of torque at 1,700 RPM. The transmission's an 8-speed automatic. This is four-wheel drive, and there's tons of off-road tech going on here, including locking center and rear diffs, a 2-speed electronically controlled transfer case, crawl control, terrain modes, and a front sway bar disconnect. Steering is electrically assisted, double wishbone front suspension, multi-link at the rear, conventional dampers, and they didn't skimp on the brakes either. 4-piston front calipers with 14.2-inch rotors at the front, 13.8 at the rear. The first edition rocks 18-inch wheels and tires, and good for us because we are enjoying it off-road. Towing capacity is about 6,000 pounds, and curb weight of this 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser First Edition is 5,000 pounds. Did you know that about 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. I checked the data and 80% of you are not subscribed. So if you enjoy the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Be sure to like this video and share it. And if you don't mind, drop by our merch store. There's lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. Fun fact, in its history, the Land Cruiser has been used in everything from military operations to humanitarian missions. Here in the driver's seat, I'm really quite happy. I've got an incredible view, and part of that has to do with how I'm seated way high off the road, and the tall windows all around make it easy to see out of this Land Cruiser, that's for sure. But on top of that, there are cameras that help you park, but also help you with your off-roading, and I've found them to be very, very useful in the kind of soft-roading that we've been doing on this test, but it has been impressive, and it's useful tech that really helps out a lot, especially when you're going on some new terrain that you haven't encountered previously. While we're on the subject of visibility, Toyota has added a camera mirror here, which is absolutely incredible in traffic. Here off-road, we're really not using it, but in traffic, it's fantastic. The reason is it's a wide-angle lens, and combined with the outboard mirrors and this camera mirror, you really have no blind spots, but that said, on this channel, we know blind spots are a myth. Getting up into the seats is a bit of a climb for me because I have short legs, but once I'm here, I'm very happy. The seat is very comfortable, and in this first edition trim, seat is ventilated as well as heated. It's a very comfortable place to be. Speaking of which, the seat is very comfortable and supportive, although there are minimal adjustments here, but whether we're on-road or off-road, the seat is very comfortable, very supportive, even over long distances. Fundamental ergonomics are great. Great relationship to the steering wheel as well, to the pedals, the shifter as well, in case you need to shift on your own. But nonetheless, I've got a great relationship here, and everything is laid out fundamentally spot on. Very happy with it. Decent sized steering wheel, maybe a little on the larger size than what we need, but I think this is typical for something off-road oriented. And speaking of the shifter, it's got a great mechanical feel to it, perfectly suited to this Land Cruiser. Ergonomics are very much Toyota, and if you're familiar with Toyota, they're simple, straightforward, no real learning curve, but in true Toyota style, we do have buttons everywhere. Lots of buttons here, some buttons over here, some buttons over here, and I guess they all make sense to someone, although they could be consolidated perhaps a little bit easier. Climate control is very easy to deal with. Infotainment system also very easy to deal with, and love the way it works on Apple CarPlay. This is one of the best renders of Apple CarPlay I've seen in a really long time. Absolutely love it here, and if you're going to daily a Land Cruiser, you're going to love it too. Speaking of buttons, we've got a lot of things going on here. We have a drive mode selector, but we can press MTS, which is the multi-terrain select, and we've got choices of deep snow, mud, sand, dirt, and automatic, which is pretty cool. And we go over to drive modes. I think our choices are just sport, normal, and eco. After that, we've got traction and stability control off. Press it once, traction control turns off. Press it and hold it, traction and stability turns off fully. We can lock the center as well as the rear diffs, and this other button here will disconnect the front sway bar, which is a very cool feature. Have been using that a little bit on this off-road adventure. And of course, there's a 2-speed transfer case, as we know, and to put it in 4 low, all we do is press it and hold it back, drop it into 4 low, and we'll wait for it to switch over. And here we are in 4 low. A lot of the systems turn off because this presumes that you are off-road, no longer need forward collision warning and other systems, which is pretty clever because we don't need those systems intruding when we're off-road. And we have used this a little bit just to test it, but it hasn't been necessary to go into 4 low other than to demonstrate its capabilities. And then going into 4 high is just as simple as flicking the lever forward, and away we go back to 4 high. Loads of modern tech as well. In addition to the camera mirror, lots of other things going on here. There is an abundance of USB ports around. There is a wireless charger here. You have your options of connecting your phone to the infotainment system, wired or wirelessly. Works great either way, and otherwise really can't complain with what's going on here in terms of tech. It's definitely spot on for 2024 with the right amount of tech. In terms of spaciousness, I was actually pleasantly surprised because this Land Cruiser is fairly narrow, which I appreciate with some of the terrain we've been traversing today, but there's an abundance of room for you and your front seat passenger. In the back, there's lots of leg room as well, and then under the hatch, tons of room. And of course, this one has a roof rack, so you can put things on the roof if you so desire. Let's try this from a stop, shall we? This is very quick, and I'm really impressed with how this entire drivetrain works in harmony. The hybrid power unit is impressive, and this is a great way for Toyota to exploit hybrid technology, because what we've got is a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine augmented with an electric motor, and what that adds up to is an abundance of torque way low in the rev range. Very impressed with how it delivers torque, and it's very quick in a straight line. It feels like it's 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds. Not sure what the official number is. This is not meant for drag strips, obviously, but it is relatively quick in a straight line, whether you're at a standing stop or getting up to speed on the highway. It's very quick, and it's actually quicker than what I'd be expecting from an all-new Land Cruiser in 2024. Very impressed with the acceleration. In terms of the hybrid power unit's efficiency, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But with respect to efficiency, we're actually cruising along on the electric motor right now, believe it or not. If you can hear, there's no gasoline motor running. And there's the gasoline motor chiming in to add some power. I really like the way the gasoline motor and the electric motor work together. They're very seamless. Lots of power and lots of torque when you need it, but then when you don't need the gasoline motor, you find yourself cruising along on that electric motor from time to time. The four-wheel drive system has just been performing flawlessly, no matter what we've been doing, whether that's straight line acceleration, as you've seen, or traversing some nasty terrain. It has never put a foot wrong. And on top of that, these Michelins are not really a full-blown off-road tire. They're a little bit more modest, a little more compromised, maybe a little more suited to on-road driving than off-road driving. But combined with the four-wheel drive system, we've had incredible traction anywhere we've gone today. Over the years, I've seen Land Cruisers go places I wouldn't even take my dog. It's like a mountain goat, but with wheels. And this is a full-time four-wheel drive system. It's not a part-time system, which is true to the Land Cruiser's character, and the way we've been driving it absolutely works wonderfully. Back to cruising on electric, and we're off-road. This is just remarkable. Oh, there's the gasoline motor again. This thing has so much traction. I am really impressed with it. Wow. This thing is so capable, it could probably drive itself to the moon and back if there was a road. And even then, it would probably be like, nah, let's just go off-road. The transmission performs flawlessly. You do have manual control over this gearbox if you wish. There are paddles on the back of the steering wheel, or you can slide the shifter over into manual mode. To be fair, the way I've been driving this off-road really hasn't been necessary to choose a specific gear. There are other occasions. This hasn't been one of those occasions where we've really needed manual control over the gearbox. When it comes to handling, let's talk about off-roading first, because that's what we're doing here. And this thing is incredibly impressive. And what I will say is Toyota did not cut any corners here in terms of this Land Cruiser's off-road capabilities. The four-wheel drive system certainly helps, but the suspension does an incredible job of absorbing all of these bumps, and some of these are fairly significant. Of course, you can disconnect the front sway bar, make things a little bit easier, and that gives you a little bit more articulation and compliance in that front suspension when you need it. I don't think there really have been any occasions, but for prudence, I have been disconnecting the front sway bar from time to time over some of these larger bumps here. Still, the suspension does a great job of absorbing all of these bumps. High speed, low speed, no problem at all. These are conventional dampers, but there's clearly been some attention paid to what they've done for the shock development on this truck, because they are incredible. There's no difficulty with this suspension with body and wheel control. Body and wheel control is excellent in every condition. I have never found the Land Cruiser to be out of sorts anywhere on this drive today. And when it comes to on-road handling, well, we're going to talk about that in a minute when we get back to the road. With respect to steering, there's not a lot of feel or feedback that comes through the steering wheel. This is a big truck after all, and the steering is electrically assisted, but steering is direct and precise. It's easy to park as well. When it comes to off-road, you can definitely point this in the direction you want to go. No trouble whatsoever. The other thing I do find over some of these larger bumps, there's not a lot of kickback that comes through the wheel as well. They've been able to damp that out as well, which is very impressive. And I suppose getting rid of some of that kickback through the steering system to the steering wheel helps novice off-roaders like myself from screwing things up too badly. Now, we can't stay and play off-road all day because we have other things to do. So we're going to go on-road and see what this handles like. Before we do that, we're going to do a little bit of braking on some rough surfaces. These brakes are impressive. You can see from the calipers on the front, there are 4 piston calipers on the front of this thing. Fairly big brake rotors as well, and there's lots of braking capacity. But what I'm most impressed with when it comes to braking is how much feel and control I have with this brake pedal. Again, this is somewhere where Toyota didn't skimp, and this is definitely a driver's truck. I've got tremendous control feel, modulation, just absolutely wonderful control with this brake pedal. Very, very impressed. And let's be fair, most people will be driving their Land Cruisers on the road, and as such, you want good, strong brakes that'll give you a lot of confidence to be able to avoid a collision. Now, as we turn into this corner, very impressed with how flat this big SUV corners. Look at that braking, no trouble, great control over this brake pedal. Very happy with how this brake pedal works. Great turning radius too, and that helps you out in parking situations and making this easy to park in almost any situation. All right, let's roll into a corner on the brakes. Get it set up, come off the brakes, turn in. Not a lot of body roll here. Very impressed with that. Decent road holding, although these tires aren't the grippiest on road. This is not a performance tire by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, not a lot of body roll here. Very, very impressive with how this corners as well. This also shines when it comes to on-road ride quality. There's still some compliance in the suspension. In Toronto, the roads suck, and this suspension soaks up those bumps without complaint. It is incredible. And on top of that, you probably don't even need to slow down for speed bumps in this thing. And while steering effort is fairly light, which is helpful in lots of situations like parking or doing a long off-road drive, you definitely appreciate that, but it's nice and strong on center as well, and I definitely appreciate that when we're on the road. Considering how capable this is off-road and then how well it rides on the road, this kind of ticks all of the boxes. It's kind of the best of all worlds. Suspension's capable of taking us off-road. Of course, the four-wheel drive system and the tire helps out a little bit, but the suspension does a great job of dealing with off-road situations, and then on the road, we feel like we're planted to the road. It's got a very comfortable ride and then absorbs bumps and road imperfections like no other suspension. This is kind of next level for a conventional suspension for such a capable SUV. And other than a little bit of buzz from the four-cylinder engine, this rides very quietly. There's a lot of sound deadening that's gone on here, and even at highway speeds, this is very quiet. It's not quite what I was expecting for a rugged off-roader. How do you spec yours? Well, that's a fairly easy question to answer, but there are some considerations here when it comes to the new Land Cruiser. What you are looking at is, of course, the first edition. As you know, the paint is called Trail Dust, and it does have a light gray roof with a black leather interior. In the US, the base price for a Land Cruiser is $55,950, and as tested in this first edition spec, it's $75,400. In Canada, base price is $77,290, and this first edition retails in Canada for $90,370.
As far as speccing yours goes, well, here's the thing. I think this is the way to go. Right now, at least with this first edition, this is the most capable and the most well-equipped, and I enjoy all of the features and all of the capabilities of this first edition. So as far as I'm concerned, get a first edition, pick your color, and be happy.
My verdict, well, I think you can tell I'm impressed with this Land Cruiser. Certainly helps that we're driving the first edition with all of the features and luxuries that people like us appreciate, but nonetheless, we do talk about fuel consumption at this point in the episode, and while I will mention it, this is definitely an anomaly because we've been doing a little bit of on-road driving, a fair bit of off-road driving, decent amount of city driving as well, and we're getting about 15 miles per gallon or 15 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, if I'm able to put on some more miles here, I'll update this here and let you know what the net result is, instead of this skewed scenario where we don't have optimal fuel consumption conditions. But I do think this is capable of getting decent mileage if you drive it properly. I would love some owners to chime in here and let me know what kind of mileage you get, because I know this is not realistic, and I'm pretty sure sure with the hybrid power unit we can get some decent mileage here. Some people say the Land Cruiser is too old school. I say it's timeless. It's miles and miles, maybe even light years, galaxies, or universes ahead of the LC79 Land Cruiser that we drove a little while ago. And I suppose that's no surprise given what Toyota has been doing lately. And by that, I mean they've been turning out some incredible products. The GRs, the GR Corolla, GR86, the GR Yaris for people outside of North America, as well as the GR Supra, and let alone the Lexus LC500 and other enjoyable Lexus vehicles. And this is no surprise because they're capable of turning out some incredibly satisfying and focused cars for drivers like us. And it comes as no surprise that they're able to do that with the latest Land Cruiser. This is incredibly well resolved. Think about it, a Land Cruiser. It's like saying I need a vehicle that can conquer the wilderness but also get me to the country club on time. It has all of the features and all of the luxuries that you can imagine that make daily driving not a bore and much more comfortable. And this, of course, is the first edition, so it has everything that we could ever want here. And we don't talk about it very much on this channel, but I really like the way that this thing is designed. It's distinctive, it's modern, it's current, and I think it's going to age very, very well. If you're looking for a legendary SUV that'll make you feel like $1 million, the Land Cruiser is your answer. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser First Edition. Hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below, lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even Toyota Land Cruisers. And if you've stuck around this long, well, have a look at our one and only previous Land Cruiser episode, the LC79, which we shot last winter. I think you might enjoy it. Here's the link. Please enjoy.